Today is Thursday, tomorrow is Friday, and hey, we headed to the weekend, so very, very excited. Guys, the climb, as mentioned, is all about looking back and reflecting about what we went through as entrepreneurs to get to this point, and then we go on to looking forward and kind of figuring out what is our next move as entrepreneurs. I mean, in the world that we live in today, it's all about change. I mean, we've been changing so quickly as we move along, and entrepreneurs have to adapt to change and make sure that we're even successful at that standpoint. So today I am joined by Cody, and I'm going to give you a little bit about his bio. So Cody is the co-founder and CEO of CG Technology Group. CG Tech focuses on building disruptive technology specifically in the well-being and human effectiveness space. Cody, welcome to the show.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Chris. Thanks for having me here. Excited to be here with you for this hour.
Awesome stuff. Cody, please introduce yourselves to our lovely listeners.
Awesome. Hello to all the lovely listeners today on Thursday. My name is Cody Gordon, co-founder and CEO of CG Technology Group. As Chris sort of mentioned, I am an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is in my blood. It's who I've always been, and hopefully who I will always be. I'm super excited to dive into the topics that we're going to get into today.
So Cody, you're 25 years old, right?
Yes.
You are here, you're an entrepreneur. When I was 25, okay, I was also an entrepreneur. Okay, cool. So when did your entrepreneurial journey actually start? I mean, you're 25. Generally, you finish school around 18, 19 years old. How come you're playing in the entrepreneurship space at such an early age?
Absolutely. I mean, for me, Chris, I think, I've always myself known that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I think, from when I was a young boy in school, whenever someone would ask me, what do I want to be, what do I want to do, I would always say, I want to own my own company.
Okay.
And, I guess back then I had no idea what that meant.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably, 15 years or so ago. And, you'd sort of just envision this big building and, just pounding out lots of money.
Okay.
And then, I've always had that entrepreneurial instinct. And, in school and growing up, I would always start side businesses here and there, One of the early ones I started was with one of my friends. We would literally just take protein and we would take yogurt.
Okay.
We would put them together, freeze them, and go and sell protein yogurt. Obviously the businesses have thankfully evolved since that idea.
But it was a bit, were you making money?
Look, we weren't too successful. It's not,
Okay.
but it's that bug that you can't get rid of.
No, 100%. So Cody, growing up, I mean, I always ask this question because there's like a golden thread of similarities when it comes to entrepreneurs. So how was your childhood like? Like what kind of home, did you come from, or do you come from?
Absolutely. I mean, the home I come from is, absolutely beautiful. We're fortunate enough to have an extremely loving family.
Mm-hmm.
I have two siblings, younger brother, younger sister, very supportive mother. My father passed away when I was in matric, when I was 17, but, obviously up until that point, what a guy, taught me so much.
Mm-hmm.
So I suppose a pretty typical childhood. I was extremely sporty, but lucky and fortunate to have such an amazing
Was your
family.
dad an entrepreneur as well?
He wasn't an entrepreneur in such a sense, but he was very business orientated, and I think for me he displayed a lot of characteristics that are necessary to be a successful entrepreneur.
Okay.
Yes, definitely learned a lot from him.
Sure. Okay, cool. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. How did it all start? So you finished school, and did you study, or did you just jump into entrepreneurship, or did you do another whey protein yogurt business? So after you finish school, just take me through, because a lot of listeners that are listening to us are maybe in their final year or they've just finished school. And then when we already tell them, I've started, how? Like how do we get to that point? So when you finished school, like what happened after that?
Absolutely. So I finished school. For me, the path at that stage was cricket. I was a SA under 19 and SA under 17 cricket player. But sort of, lost that passion along the way, and I always knew, entrepreneurship was for me. So, I went to study at Wits. I did a BA in psychology and international relations. But throughout my undergrad, I would start multiple businesses. So one of the businesses I started while I was studying was a men's underwear company called No Entry,
Okay.
which basically it had secret pockets in it.
Okay.
You know, so you can't get
What are we
pickpocketed
carrying? What are we
going
ca- are we
out.
carrying?
Look, you carry whatever you want. That's
Okay.
you know, we just provide the resources.
Okay, good.
But you know, while I was studying, I would constantly come up with new business ideas. And for me, you know, anyone who's studying that has that entrepreneurial bug, I think, you know, my advice is always jump right into it.
Mhm.
You know, you can't. There's only so much you can do to learn entrepreneurship besides jumping right into it.
100%. So I mean, you
Um,
finished school, you went into VITS. While doing your degree, you're like, okay, cool. I don't know where to put my stuff, and I'm getting pickpocketed. So let me start this underwear company, and then off you went to source material and designers, and take me through that process.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started that business with one of my best friends called, his name's Josh.
Mhm.
Shout out to Josh.
How's that, Josh?
And yeah, basically we went through the whole process of designing, you know, what do we want the design to look like? You know, how many colors, what's the minimum order quantities, you know, a whole bunch of different issues specific to the resale industry, where to source it, you know, okay, cool, we've got the jocks, how do we sell them, you know, what's our distribution channels, all
Mhm.
those types of things. So that was an awesome business. We did that for about a year or two. It was awesome to do that with Josh at that stage. And, you know, one of the first businesses that evolved from the yogurt, that taught me a lot.
Okay, cool. And where's that business now, the underwear business?
That business is, you know, sort of in the past. I
Okay.
definitely still only rock No Entry jocks.
Okay, so that
They'll
business.
always be a part of me, yeah.
Okay, so that business folded, and you were like, okay, cool, done with that,
Absolutely.
onto the next one. So then, what was your next step?
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, for me, I always wanted to be in the tech space. I always wanted to be in the app space. It was extremely fascinating to me.
Mm-hmm.
After I finished my undergrad, I went to do a postgrad at Wits Business School.
Okay.
I did a PDM. And just before that year, just before my postgrad, I had the idea to start a mental well-being app. And that's, you know, the mental well-being app was, you know, came from my own personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
From, you know, as I mentioned earlier, when my father passed away, that obviously, that process...
That triggered something.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I went through my own mental health challenges, my own mental health journey. And, you know, going through that process helped me so much as a person, as an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
And I just believed that everybody should have access to that, you know, from a young age. So we developed the technology specifically for schools. It's app-based, and, you know, in essence, it develops students' EQ, develops their mental health, their well-being.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll dive into that a bit later on, right? So I mean, so now you're done. You've parked this underwear brand. You're still studying,
Yes.
and then you get an idea. Okay, I'm feeling a certain way. I wish there was something, not a person. I wish there was a piece of software to help me that I can pour my emotions into and just have some sort of vent of sorts. And then, so I mean, always entrepreneurship comes with, I want to solve a problem. And it's
Absolutely.
always experiencing a problem that you are facing at that point, which is mental well-being, emotional well-being. I mean, well-being is just not about fitness, right? Well-being is
100%.
all encompassing. So this is what it was. So take me through you started scribbling it down or whatever. Take me through the actual crafting of, I have an idea, and from ideation to the first conversation you actually had about it.
Absolutely. So, I mean, you know, the process, you know, from the idea to, you know, sort of getting a product to market
Mm-hmm.
is extremely difficult, and it requires a lot of perseverance. I think
Yeah.
for me as well, this was sort of my first real step into the technology space. So
Mhm.
there was a lot of learnings. You know, it took me, you know, a bit longer than I expected.
And you don't know
Um,
technology, right? You're not a coder yourself. or
No,
are you?
I'm not a coder. I've done a few coding courses and that, but mostly just to speak to my CTO, my partner, Michael Dukes. Shout out to Mark Dukes.
That's a shout out thing out today.
Absolutely, we've got more coming. We've got more coming. Yeah, so for me, learning, it's more around understanding what great things technology can do for us and
Yeah.
the strategies behind that. I think it's important, if you want to start any tech business, to at least understand some of the fundamentals, so you understand, when you hear certain things.
For quality control.
100%.
I agree. So so you have this idea, and then the first person you speak to about it, is it Michael or is it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's generally, those people close to you, the people around you.
So he's your friend.
Yeah, so Michael came about, was sort of the stars aligned. Obviously, like I mentioned, I'm very business orientated, entrepreneurial. And finding a co-founder, a partner, you need to find someone who has completely opposite skill sets to you. You don't want to replicate yourself.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So for me, it was, go onto LinkedIn, software engineer, enter, and
really, is that what you did?
100%. And Mark Duke's name came up, and Mark and I played cricket growing up. So I was like, oh, I know Mark. I have a bit of a relationship with him. Let me reach out to him. Mark at that point went on to do something else, and eventually he did come on, and I think we're both extremely happy that he did. So, yeah, I think,
That's incredible.
Yeah,
shout out to
quite
LinkedIn.
a story. Yeah, shout out to LinkedIn, absolutely. He's a Reed Hoffman. Thanks, Reed.
Okay, cool. So you presented him to the idea. So obviously, when you first start off, it's sweat equity, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
No one has to say, here's 100 million that we're going to throw into out of my. It doesn't exist, right? So
Absolutely.
so you chatted to Michael. You said, listen, this is what it is. This is my idea. This is my IP. So in sharing with him, and the reason I'm going into the nitty gritties of it is I really want our listeners to understand. You have an idea, but don't get blindsided and so excited about it, because you also don't want to get circumvented, and you also don't want to get, you don't want your idea to get stolen from you. So when you had the conversation with him, did you formulate NDAs, non-disclosures,
Sure.
non-circumventions?
Absolutely.
Take me through that process of
For me,
protecting
Chris,
yourself.
maybe I have a different view to you, but I've been lucky enough to also have quite a few business mentors, and one of the things they've always taught me is that your ideas are worth nothing. It's your execution that matters.
100%.
And that's something that I've taken with me in every venture, every conversation I've had. That you can, there's billions of ideas out there. We can give them right here, and it's about who's going to take them and go and do it.
Absolutely.
Because the idea is the starting point, but when you take that idea, you go and you face your obstacles, your challenges. You're going to get smacked in the face.
Yeah.
It's not the idea that's going to get you over the line.
Because what's on paper is not reality.
Exactly.
Right?
It's how do you execute. So when I had that conversation, with Mark, it was less about, oh, he's going to steal my idea, blah, blah, blah. It was more about the connection. Are you interested in our mission? Are you interested in our mission of well-being, mental health?
And then you bought into that idea.
Yeah, exactly. And then obviously, as you sort of have that initial conversation, things get a bit more serious. You get into the contracts and things like that.
Okay, cool. So the first conversation, very friendly. Do you want to date me? Because I know,
Exactly.
with business, I always have this saying. I'm like, let's date first.
Absolutely.
I don't know if I want to actually
Put
marry
a ring
you.
on it.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I want to actually marry you. So there's a lot of times where I date first, and then I understand exactly. Okay, cool. This is how this person reacts, because it's not just in good situations that I need you to be there for me and celebrate with me.
100%.
It's about when things happen and the popo hits the fan.
Yeah.
And how is my partner?
Which is 99% of the time. Right?
Yeah, and how's because partnerships, it served me well in some instances. In other instances, it did not serve me well. So when things happened, they were gone. Right, and then I was there to face the music. So partnerships are very, very important. So I'm glad that you went through the dating phase first before saying, cool, we in it to win it.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So so that was how that started, the actual partnership.
Yes.
So how did the business start? So everyone's happy with the idea. Everyone's happy with the concept. We get it. We understand it. What was your first plan of action to actually make this a tangible thing?
100%. So for me, it comes down to two things: the commercial end and the technology. So I think there's a sort of a framework or a philosophy in the technology world called an MVP approach, which is basically a minimal viable product. Which means basically, in summary, the least amount of technology you need to put it out to market to prove your concept, to go on from there. So, Mark and I focused a lot on building out our MVP. What does that look like? What features do we need? How much time is this going to take us? In parallel with that, speaking to potential clients, not waiting for the technology to be built first, but going out, getting market feedback, and your customers then help you build the product as well. I think that helps you an extreme amount with time, because you don't waste time building something that no one wants.
So you're working like an agile method, basically.
100%.
Okay. Sorry, I interrupted you.
I was just saying, and capital as well. If you have X amount of resources, you can't be spending a year developing something and then finding out that it was useless.
No one wants
exactly.
it. Okay, cool. So you work basically on the agile. So you put something out there. Okay, guys, do you like the like button? Okay, you don't like it. Okay, do you like the love button?
Absolutely.
We're just talking about other platforms.
Are you even interested to pay for this? Is it something you would pay for?
Yeah, is this valuable to you? Is it
100%.
impactful? Okay, no, fantastic. So I completely understand that. And then in terms of, so now the platform is ready, right? So you guys have an MVP, it's out there, you've got market research back. What was the point of your first customer? This is the first sign up, this is the first invoice that we bought, that we're invoicing for.
Absolutely.
This is the first smiley face that I'm getting from my bank account. So how long did that process from concept to MVP to invoicing? How long did that process take?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think when you do first get that first invoice, that first contract, it's a fantastic feeling for any entrepreneur.
I thought this was going to fail.
Yeah.
I'm actually getting paid.
No, someone's actually paying me for this. This is amazing. But I'd say from when we sort of started building to beyond piloting, signing that first sort of customer, around a year.
1 year.
Yeah, around a year.
So I'm going to ask you the last question, and then we're going to take a little break. In that 1 year, how did you fund yourself? You eat, you live, you gym, you do all of those things. So how are you funding yourself in that year?
Absolutely. So, Mark and I obviously had a strategy, going back to the MVP approach of we have X amount of time, we have X amount of time to prove this. What is the quickest way we can do this? I think there's obviously two ways to fund a business. One is through your customers. Another one is through raising capital. Our approach was always to, bring on customers quite early and allow that to fund our growth. Keep everything lean, very minimal.
Okay, so you guys got funding and you had customers who was...
Well, we didn't receive funding for that business. Okay. We kept it very lean in terms of, our overhead costs, things like that. And then quite quickly bought on customers, which was great.
Okay, so in that time, basically,
through that.
So in that time, it was savings and whatever that
100%.
needed to get you by.
Exactly.
Okay, guys. So if you want to get into a tech business, you need to make sure you have resources to fund you for at least 12 to 18 months to live a lifestyle, and not you don't want to go through I'm sleeping on the floor, I'm doing these things. You still want to live life, right?
Yeah, I don't know. For me, I wouldn't. I think you hear so many stories of these entrepreneurs sleeping on. Elon Musk, for example, sold what was it, PayPal for? I think he got about $200 million from it. Yeah. Landed up sleeping on his friend's couch for $200 million to start SpaceX. So
because he had.
It's the classic. You either want it that bad or you don't. I think that's why also starting as young as you can and getting it out there. It's very important.
But Cody, thank you so much for the first segment, guys. I hope you enjoyed and got all of the information, advice, inspiration from Cody. We're taking a short break and we'll be back with The Climb. And welcome back to The Climb, looking back and moving forward with your host Christopher Augustine and my special guest Cody. Cody, now we're going to dive into your life right now and actually being an entrepreneur, but also living life, and how does that look like? So take me through a typical day of Cody now. What time do you wake up? What time do you sleep? Is there any relationships that you're in? And it takes a lot of effort as well. I said it last week on the show, I get into trouble a lot because the business is my baby, and because I have so many kids, I'm talking about business, I sometimes... real kids, and I sometimes neglect my partner. So how is the life of Cody and managing expectations of I'm a son, I'm a partner, all of the things?
Absolutely. Starting off with, I guess, my relationship. I'm lucky enough to be in an awesome, beautiful relationship with, her name's Paige, so shout out to my beautiful girlfriend Paige. Super fortunate that she's extremely supportive, and I think being an entrepreneur, It's one thing finding a co-founder that suits you, but finding a romantic partner
Absolutely.
that supports you, is always there for you, your sounding board. They live the highs and the lows with you. So I'm very fortunate enough to have that, and it certainly helps a lot in every area of life. So super grateful for that. Going back to what a day in the life would be, and sort of the routines. My routines are extremely important to me.
Okay.
And I think most entrepreneurs live like that. For me, the morning is fundamental.
Okay.
I wake up not at a specific time every day. 5 a.m., 6 a.m. It depends, but it's generally between sort of 6 and 7.
Okay.
Depending on what time the first meeting is, etc. But for me, it'll be wake up, straight into breakfast, straight into 30-minute meditation, hour of training, and then a cold shower. Once I've done that, I'm ready to take on the day, and you can't beat me after that.
That is insane. Okay, cool. So we're gonna talk about that right now. So meditation. How do you you have a million things to do for the day, right? How do you shut that off and say, I am meditating for 30 minutes right now? Do you use anything to help you, and how did you start that?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a saying in meditation, I hope I get it right, it's basically saying if you feel like you just don't have any time to meditate, that's when you need to meditate the most. For me, how I sort of started meditating, it was sort of by accident.
Okay.
When I went down my own journey of self-development, self-improvement, things like that, one of the tools I gravitated towards was visualization. You hear about, you want to be successful, visualize your future, all those sorts of things. So I started visualizing, and naturally my visualizations got longer and longer, 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 6 minutes.
I understand.
And then I was like, I'm kind of meditating now. This is quite interesting,
It's become a thing.
Exactly. What's this whole world about? I thought this was just reserved for the monks in the mountains. What am I going to do meditating? But it was super interesting to me. And from that point on, I just kept meditating, kept putting my time up.
Visualizing.
Absolutely. So now I do about an hour every day, 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening. And for me, it's mindful meditation. So I've never used an app or anything like that. It's just been...
So no music, just quiet.
Yeah, exactly. I've been doing it for 8 years now. So every single day, never missed a day. And that's been the difference for me, is the persistence. I think a lot of people say meditation doesn't work for them. They do it for a week, 2 weeks. It's like going to the gym, You do a few push-ups, you do a few squats, like, oh, where's my six-pack, where's my... It doesn't work like that.
So it's not, I want it now, it's here now.
Exactly.
It's not instantaneous gratification.
100%.
It comes with consistency.
Exactly.
I think that's something that I can take, from this conversation is meditation. I don't meditate. Like I walked outside of my house, I went into the garden today, I looked up at the sky, I think for 10 seconds, and I said, what an amazing day, and I walked back in the house to start my work.
Absolutely, but I think, Chris, that's so important, because like meditation comes in many forms. Not many people, have the ability or, can sit down for an hour and just exist. I think mindfulness is very important. So if you want to go out and just stare at the stars, stare at the trees, go on a beautiful walk, as long as what you're doing, you're fully involved in that moment, and you're not getting
distracted with technology and all of those things.
100%.
Okay, so your day starts off around 6-7 o'clock. You have your breakfast, you hit the gym. You train at home or you train at a gym?
I used to train at a gym, but since COVID, I've upgraded my home gym and I haven't left.
Sure.
I do miss the gym, but I think for me, just time-wise, being able to train at home makes such a difference.
It does. But how does it feel to live in the space, eat in the space, train in the space? Does
work
it not
in the space.
work in the space? I do the same, and then at some point I'm like, I feel like I'm going to go out of my mind. Like I need to get out, at some point. So what do you do to get out of that space, renew yourself, and come back?
Absolutely. I think for me, Chris, it's like meditation's played such a fundamental part in my life that, you get to choose how you want to think. So if you think that, oh man, the space is, is ruining my mood, ruining my vibe, I can't do it anymore, that's just your perception on your current state, on your current environment. For me, what meditation's allowed me to do is choose what do I want my reality to be. It doesn't mean that your reality literally changes, but your perception of that environment changes. So if you want to be like, I'm fortunate, I'm grateful that I have a home where I can do these things, where I can meditate, eat, gym. I think, that's super powerful.
So
Obviously, you can't do that all the time, and, life does happen. And, go for a walk, go for a coffee, something simple.
So I think just having the attitude of gratitude
Exactly.
at any given moment changes
Everything.
Everything. Guys, if you're listening and if that didn't impact you and hit you in a positive way, I mean, this is why we do the show. I mean, to kind of get these moments out there that will enable you to do better. Because I'm taking so much from this, and thank you so much for that. In terms of the cold shower, I said I'm gonna get to that, right? So I mean,
that's a tough one, eh?
So I tried it, right? So I mean, naturally I have a warm shower.
Sure.
My wife's shower, your flesh will come off your bones. That's the shower she has. I can't have that kind of showers, so I mean mine is normal. I would say, but getting it cold even in winter, and then how is that right?
So let me be fully transparent. It's not a full cold shower. So I will start off with it warm.
Okay.
Do the washing, everything.
Yeah.
And then for the last minute, I put it on the coldest it goes to and just stand there. And for me, it's just what a way to end off the routine. It's just basically saying, whatever comes my way, I'm tougher than you. And, when you sort of start the day like that, it's very tough for things to go wrong. I mean, there's, been so much talk recently about the benefits of cold showers on your mental state.
So is this just like your body or...
Everywhere. Move the body around, get it all over. Yeah, but it's interesting. I think sometimes when I do that, I come out of the shower a little warmer because I think your body was so cold, and then the outside temperature's a bit warmer, so you sort of adjust a bit quicker.
So this is winter, summer?
Oh, absolutely.
Every day?
Absolutely.
Insane. Okay, so I've taken some advice from you, which I'll try slowly, but
the cold shower you'll throw out the window.
I tried to, but I mean it was a cool day. I mean it was a sunny day, and I knew it's gonna be warm, and I think I also came from. I think you can do a cold shower if you have an intense workout.
Sure.
But if you just woke up and it's a normal day, and to get into like a shower and then end it up cold, I think it might, because I know the cold showers does relax your muscles and stuff, and I mean some days when I do train quite heavy, and the cold showers is actually, I need this. For recovery and just and obviously the mental benefits that comes with it, which is great. And so then your day starts. So do you have like a morning catch-up meeting with your team, or like how structured are you 100%. In your day?
So obviously the morning routine's super structured. The work day is structured to an extent. Obviously being a startup, and particularly a tech startup, you never know what the day is going to throw at you. It is literally constant adapting, constant change. You got to deal with whatever's the most urgent fire today, because there are constant fires that you've got to put out. So, it's what's the most urgent thing to do today. But generally we will start off with, of course, a daily stand-up. Sort of see if there's any.
So what do we need to do for today?
100%.
Okay, cool.
What's the team's focus? Anything we can assist with, things like that. The general strategy, and then just dive into it. And then probably an hour later, everything's already changed. So. Sure.
Okay. So it sounds intense, right? So I mean, your working environment, very fast paced, forever changing, etc., etc. Where is the company now? So I know the app is called It's Okay.
Yes.
So where are you right now?
Absolutely.
in the company?
Absolutely. So It's Okay in its life cycle. We've got around 20 clients around South Africa, really top schools. A mixture between online schools and obviously physical schools. And the company's growing really nicely. We are seeing some awesome feedback from our users, from all of our schools. Usage rates are extremely high. So It's Okay is going really well. Obviously, the holding company, our CG Tech, we focus on a lot of sort of disruptive areas. So, we now are expanding into the corporate space as well with a new technology. We have confirmed a few strategic partnerships over there, which is very exciting.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah, so sort of, the company's in a really good place. I think, as an entrepreneur, every single milestone is so awesome. So to be in this position right now that we are in, you know, I think very few do get to as an entrepreneur. So very grateful and excited.
So how vital was your network in this? I mean, I can have an app, but I mean, if I don't know the right people, how vital was having the right network, or was social media just a medium for you to enhance and get onto that network that you needed?
So for me, the network's not important. I think a lot of people use that as an excuse. Oh, I don't have the right network. I don't have the right connections. I might as well not try anything.
Sure.
For
Okay.
me,
So
when-
you had no network.
Look, for me, when I started, you know, you always know one or two people that you think could assist you and things like that. When I really started out, I didn't have too many people to chat to in the business space. But I never let that stop me. It was all about perseverance, persistence, and every little bit of progress you make compounds and leads you to the next thing. Now, of course, you know, my network has grown a tremendous amount. And like I mentioned, lucky enough to, as I've progressed along my entrepreneurial journey, have access to amazing mentors that have helped me an extreme amount. But first of all, it's persistence. You know, the network will come. Just persevere and you can do anything.
Okay, no, fantastic. That's, I mean, for me, like a lot of the time I go back to my network to find out, you know, before I leave and I post about something or I reach out, I always look within my network, because I think the most important thing for me in business is also trust. So
Absolutely.
as much as I know you can run my marketing or you can build a piece of software for me, can I trust you to do it as well as I would do it? I always have this thing in my mind: if I die, would this die with me, or will
Yes.
the team continue on,
100%.
you know, with the same desire and the same fight and the same fire that I have inside of me? So I think as long as you have a really good team and good partners and things like that.
Let me ask you, Chris.
Yes.
What do you think would sort of allow your team? Let's say you know you moved on. What would allow your team to carry on your mission, to carry on your company, to not leave and do something else without the founder, the driver of the company, just from your perspective?
I would say the vision, the bigger vision and the impact, and I'll take it back to you in terms of it's okay. Because I mean, it's okay is not even about the founder. It's not even about the money of it. It's about actually impacting wellness and people's mental wellness, making them function better, and helping them through life, and actually figuring out how to enable them to function better in life. And I think if you have a passion for that, join the team. And whether
Absolutely.
or not things fall apart or things are going great, they're going to be there till the very end, because the vision is so clear in
100%.
mind. So I would say for you and I going forward, and building any type of business, make sure that your vision and your statement is so clear, and make sure
100%.
that your team aligns to that vision and to that mission statement. So I would definitely say good mission statement, and get people who actually, they're not there for the money. I mean, I know it's odd to say, guys, and of course you need money, right?
Absolutely.
I get it. But I mean, also be there for the vision, you know, like
Absolutely.
make sure that what you're
And I
doing
think you
is
could
meaningful.
sort of, you know, sort of navigate your way through those people quite quickly. You know, based on the interview process, the questions that you ask them, the questions they ask you,
Yeah.
you know, are very important. And you can sort of see if they, you know, used to that sort of corporate environment, corporate salary, you know, you there, you do your thing, you in, you out. You know, the startups, you know, they're very mission orientated.
Yeah, startups need a little bit more than an 8 to 5 person. I mean,
100%.
what time do you normally generally go to bed?
Depends. I do value my sleep. I'm not one of those people that are like, oh, I run on 3 minutes of sleep.
Cody, you are so structured at 25 years old. Like this is so refreshing to see, and I'm taking so much. You know, for like I think I'm on the other end of the spectrum. I don't know if I'm on burnout mode or burnout road, but for me it's like maybe 5-6 more months, and then I'll get stability again. But I think I said that 3 years ago.
Absolutely.
And I'm still on this journey. So I mean, I think sometimes it's also good to say no, and
100%.
kind of regress a little bit, and get to a
Absolutely.
point of where you're actually enjoying life
Absolutely.
as well. But how did you like kind of, because I know there's a lot flying around, right? But how did you get to the point of where I'm meditating, I'm doing this, I'm valuing my sleep,
Absolutely.
I'm enjoying my relationship with Paige, I'm spending time with my mom and my siblings. You know, how do you find that balance and still launch this tech company?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's two things. The first thing is, I think being successful is so difficult, right? That there's so many challenges, so many obstacles, so many unknowns. Like for me, what was always so important is to control what you can control.
Yeah.
And what can I control? I can control my health to an extent, obviously. I can control my mental state. I can control what I eat. I can control how I sleep. I, as a person, will be where I need to be. So I will never look in the mirror and say, you lost because of you. Mate, it's okay losing. You learn from it. You fail.
Yeah.
It's part of the process. But, I never want to look at myself when I wake up, when I go to sleep, and say, you didn't give it everything you needed to today. So for me, I was making sure that I personally am always in the right space to function effectively. And then I think it also comes down to productivity versus being busy.
Yeah.
Like, I think so many people are just busy bees, but they don't get anything done.
100%.
For me, it's, not how long you work, how effective are you when you work. Obviously, the more work you do, the more chance you have of success, but just make sure that, when you're on it, you're on it. You're not just sort of sitting at the screen, doing things, because then you could use that time to do the other important things, spend time with your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whoever, your family, go and work out. And then when you come to do your work, you bring your full self to work, and that's
100%.
what's so important.
So be fully immersed in the moment and
100%.
enjoy it. And I think that's the only way to live.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, so we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to dive a little bit into what's next for this tech company, what's next for Cody, the entrepreneur, and I hope that you are enjoying the program so far. And guys, please follow us on social media and pop us those questions. We look forward to answering them. We will be back in a bit. And that was Rasputin. That was made in 1978. So I did tell the sound engineers to play the remix, but they said, Chris, it's Throwback Thursday. So let's hit them with the 1978 track. Guys, so getting back into the show, The Climb, looking back and moving forward, we joined with Cody, and this is our last segment. So I again encourage each and every one of you to chat to us on our social media, send us questions, because as you can hear, from cold showers to meditation to all of these amazing traits of an entrepreneur, it's not the most easiest thing to do, but it's something that we need to infuse into our lives. And I think Cody has done it so well. So again, Cody, thank you so much for coming onto the show. And as we close off, I just want to go ahead and ask you a few more questions. What does the future look like for your tech company, and what does the future look like for the It's Okay app?
Absolutely. I mean, for our tech company, it's sort of an everyday focus of growth. What can we do today? What can we do next week, next month? For us, I think obviously initially we'll be looking to fully take over the South African market, and then look at international expansion. What will that look like? How do we do that? And all the challenges that come along with that. So for us, it's just to grow, at this stage as quickly as we can and as big as we can.
And why the name It's Okay? Because I know there was a contestant or an X Factor.
Yes.
Her name was Bird.
Songbird or Moonbird.
Nightbird.
Yes, Nightbird,
right?
Absolutely.
And she made a song called It's Okay. And I cry every time I listen to X
absolutely.
Factor. I'm on one of those. Was that inspired through...
No, we started long before that song came out. We did get quite a few messages that this should be our theme song.
Yeah.
But the name It's Okay basically just refers to, it's okay. Whatever emotion you're feeling, whatever you're going through, it's okay. No judgment.
A safe
this
space.
is your safe place, exactly.
Okay, perfect. So the expansion plan is South African market and then global market. And in terms of functionality and features and all of those things, you guys are consistently working on that and making the app better. And what about, I think I mentioned it earlier on to you, integrations to your app into other apps, because sometimes people might not have access to their data. They for in living in different parts, especially if you're targeting South Africa, Africa at large, you're looking at the integration into like WhatsApp chats and things like that, because it's free and you get different bundles and things like that. I mean, are you looking at expanding into other communication tools as well?
Absolutely. I mean, we're always looking out for the best way to add value to our users, whether that is through this integration or that integration. There's so many possibilities.
Yeah.
I think you can also, make the app sort of zero rated, etc., taking that problem into account. account. I mean, there's a lot of problems that we still do face as South Africa from a technology standpoint that we need to overcome.
Yeah.
You know, having access to devices, to efficient Wi-Fi, things like that. You know, which are a lot of blockers at this point that, you know, everyone does need to look at it. How do we improve that? Because it's such a great tool for education and improving people's lives. Yeah, so I mean, obviously we, you know, from our technology standpoint, are app-based, website-based, purely just for the functionality and the range of tools and features we can have access to.
Okay, no, fantastic. So, I mean, we've been through how you started. We've been through, you know, your daily routine, your daily life, your relationship. We've been through, you know, your focus and the way forward and things like that. A couple of questions that I have for people, again, who are just starting off. You have an app now, and obviously you trust, you know, Michael, you trust certain people on your team, which is fine. But globally, you also want to own some IP, and you want to trademark certain things. What does that process look like, and how expensive was that process in terms of, or is your app patented? You know, things like that.
Absolutely. So the process is, of course, you know, as you get into it, it becomes more expensive. You know, trademarks, copyrights, things like that. Initially, I think if you're starting out and you don't have access to capital, don't focus on the legal things such as trademarks, patents. Use that to focus on the product, focus on getting customers, and then naturally, as you get more revenue, start to iron down on those sorts of things. But to start off with, rather focus on speed. But of course, those are, you know, dotting your I's, crossing your T's, and you need to absolutely get that done.
Have you done that, or is it something that you're looking at in the future?
Absolutely. Of course, we've done that, and we, you know, obviously continuously doing that, you know, with every new innovation and things like that.
Okay, then you go into patent and trademark and things
Absolutely.
like that.
I think it's a very daunting sort of experience, but I think, you know, the reason don't do it up front is because you don't know if your product or what you're doing is going to work, if it's going to be successful. You know, getting the right contracts in place isn't going to make your company successful.
100%.
Rather make it a success first, and then iron everything else.
So when you find someone that completely copied you, then you deal with that problem when that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, there's always copycats, especially in today's day and age. It's just execute better. You know, don't cry about it, execute better.
100%. Okay, great. So, I mean, if you, as we're ending now, if you had to speak to your 18-year-old self, I mean, what would you tell your 18-year-old self?
A lot.
It's okay.
Yeah, I think if I had to you know, sort of just give one thing, I mean, there's so many though, it would just be to have a different attitude towards failure.
Okay.
I mean, like I mentioned, I played a lot of cricket at a, you know, almost professional level. You know, when you go out for a duck, or, you know, you don't get 100 or something, you feel like the world's ended. You know, you go and cry in the corner, and you know, I think for me, understanding that, you know, it's not a failure, it's part of the process. It's how you actually do become successful.
Never failure, always a lesson.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That for me would be fundamental, because it's just changing perspective again. I think entrepreneurship, when you get into the game and you realize you fail every single day, and that you're not failing, it's just part of the process, you know, then the whole game changes. So it would definitely be an attitude towards failure.
And so far, what has been the biggest failure for you in life, or should I say the biggest lesson for you?
I mean, I think failure, like, I mean, I would never sort of put those types of words in my head. It's more, you know, how do you frame those sorts of things? A chance to grow, chance to learn, to be better. I can't nail it down to one. It's you fail every day. You fail all the time. You know, new things, because once you get to this landmark, cool. There's a whole new range of experiences you haven't dealt with before. You're going to fail at those. It's, are you strong enough to deal with them? Are you strong enough to persevere, to push forward?
And what was your, I would say, the first win, and you were like, wow, this feels like a dream. Like,
absolutely.
Finally, we are here.
Absolutely. For me, so many as an entrepreneur, I mean, speaking purely as an entrepreneur now in the business sense, but I think one really awesome moment for me when was amazing was when our app first got published on the App Store. Because it was such a daunting process, such a daunting you know, sort of road ahead.
Yeah.
You think, when you first have this idea, how on earth am I going to get this there? And you see it on the App Store, and you're like,
changing, right?
like, wow. You know? And then, you know, an hour later, there's a new problem, so we had to fix that. But, yeah, I mean, getting your first customer is always amazing. But, you know, then it's, okay, how do I get the next 10, next 100, 1,000, etc. So always looking up. But, I remember, yeah, I'm sure there was lots of moments before then, but yeah, that was an awesome one.
Now that's amazing. I mean, I know with getting anything on iOS, so it's absolutely difficult, especially now with Poppy and compliance and everything that's happening. It's so difficult to manage data.
Yes.
You know, customers' data. And how do you guys manage data in terms of like, you know, your users and make sure that it's protected and things like that?
Absolutely. So obviously we have all of our systems and procedures and flows in place to ensure that we do that. Yeah, that's I suppose more of a legal sort of conversation, sort of approach. But yeah, for us we just apply and abide by the Poppy laws, and yeah, that allows us to go on.
So all the data is kept safe, guys in a great space. So I mean, if you download the It's Okay app, that's available on the App Store and on, so it's on iOS and it's on Android, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you know that all of your thoughts and all of your experience are kept safe, and everything is just kept on there, and then it's just an experience for you to vent and do whatever you need to
100%.
do, and actually monitor. And I think it's so important because I mean sometimes you just monitor your physical health, but you don't have a chance or an app to actually, but I mean now you do, but I mean there wasn't an app before where you actually monitor and craft, because I mean sitting with you here for a bit, it's like everything that you're doing in life is so intentional, and this app is like intentional mental wellness.
Absolutely.
Intentionally making sure that I'm okay.
Spot on, Chris.
So I really love what you've done and what you're doing, and yeah, I thank you so much for being on the show. Is there any last words that you would like to leave our listeners with before we end off?
Yeah, well, firstly, thanks so much for having me, Chris. This was really awesome. Really enjoyed my time here. Last words to leave the listeners with, I think, would just be, you know, you never know how far you can go in life. Just make sure you're in the game. You know, I think too many times people discount themselves. You know, you don't need to have the best skills. You don't need to be the most charming person. Just put yourself in the game, and I think, you know, life will surprise you. Keep giving yourself enough chances to succeed, and things will happen.
Thank you so much, Cody. You are wise beyond your years. I wish I had a bit of you even now. It's insane. But thank you so much for all of your inspiration. Thank you so much for your words of wisdom. It truly impacted me in such a positive way. And you have one more user that's going to be on It's Okay app. I think you're doing an incredible thing. And okay, two more. I have Roberto in studio as well, and he says he's also going to download the app. I hope you guys are downloading the app as well. And please be a bit more active with us, and send us DMs and send us WhatsApp messages and comments on our socials. We look forward to answering the questions. I mean, it'll really help us to position questions to our guests and really get the truth of what you want out of them, so you guys are enabled better to do better. I hope you enjoyed this segment of The Climb with your host, Christopher Augustine. And here's to an amazing Thursday and amazing weekend. And it's a wrap.
Awesome, guys. Great job,
Cody.
Chris.
Thank you, brother.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was fun.
It was fun, right?
What did you think?
It was amazing. Dude, you're so incredible. Like, I mean, like listening to you, so structured, and you're so like, you have everything. It's because you have so much of structure.
Yeah, yeah.